Hey folks, welcome to my CFI Academy YouTube channel. I'm Russ Clark. If you don't know who I am a CFI, CFII, actually Gold Seal. And I've been teaching CFIs and CFIIs for the past year in an academy, and we're now moving that to an online version. And so we started this YouTube channel, hoping that people would be interested in what we have going on here. And today I've got a friend of mine, just a little background. Yep, we got Sean here. And I met Sean because he and I both entered the Air Wisconsin trainee program at the same time. Now, Sean is from Crystal Lakes, which is a suburb of Chicago. And so please welcome Sean Sullivan. Sean, thanks for being here. How you doing this evening?
Oh, no problem. Just happy to be here. Thankful for clear skies.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, you're in my neighborhood of the woods right now. I'm in Maryland.
Yeah.
He's in Frederick. I'm out near Baltimore. But is it tomorrow that you're going to be flying kind of over my neighborhood?
Yeah, exactly. We're doing all of Frederick County in Maryland tomorrow, looking into about the Saturday and Sunday kind of.
So what does this mean? We're doing all of Maryland tomorrow. Well, folks, if you read the title of the YouTube thumbnail, Sean is a survey pilot, and I wanted to have Sean in here because a lot of CFIs, a lot of young people, even people my age, think about that. I'm in my 50s and I'm working towards the airlines, right? We're looking at different types of flying that we can do maybe as a job once you get that coveted commercial ticket. Well, Sean, tell us a little bit about your training background, what got you into aviation, and kind of what was the path that led to you becoming a survey pilot?
Okay, so I'm from the northwest suburbs of Crystal Lake, one of the few people in aviation that didn't have like familial input or family friends growing up that were in the airlines or anything like that. I ended up actually getting hooked on aviation when I was 12, doing a Young Eagles ride, which is just a local charity where you donate your time to get a free airplane ride.
Yeah, a friend of mine does those out of Essex Sky Park.
Oh, no way. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really, really good program. Ever since I started actually making real money, I've been donating to them. But yeah, they do just local rides for kids just to kind of keep the passion for general aviation, especially growing. So I did that when I was 12. And as soon as we took off, I'm like, yep, we're good. That's what I want. That's what I want. So then it all just kind of went from there. Graduated high school, started taking flight training lessons, did the community college route, which I advocate for almost everybody, going into the 141 kind of collegiate aviation program just to save yourself money wherever you can. But then did community college, did my private license, part 61, and then transferred down to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, which is just to the southeast of St. Louis. Did instrument commercial, and then I went down the multi-engine route mostly because I had a scholarship paying for it, with a legacy scholarship for United 232 that crashed in Sioux City, Iowa back in the late 80s, early 90s. So that was actually initially the first stepping stone in my path to doing more Part 91 kind of subversion flying versus flight instruction.
So you were going to go down the CFI path, right?
Correct. Yep. So I was looking at going down the CFI path, and then all it took was winning a scholarship that was going to pay for the entirety of a multi-engine rating versus half the cost for getting CFI done. I know most 141 schools, you kind of split up CFI into two phases, the oral and then the flight portion, or half and half kind of deal. It's kind of funny that being a cheapskate is what ended up me going into aerial survey.
No, wait a minute. It's being a cheapskate. So you got to the point where you were about to do the check ride, didn't you?
Correct. Yep. So I got my scholarship. I was doing multi-engine training, and with the cost savings and all that, I had some free time in my schedule and all that as well. So I ended up doing CFI Part 61 at a local mom and pop school across the way from the airport. So it'd be fun. I'd start the morning flying a Cessna 310, and then I'd go to classes in the afternoon. And then in the evenings, I'd fly a little 152 from the right seat. And then in the evenings, I'd rent a 172 to do some nighttime building, and then do the same thing all again tomorrow. So checklists and V speeds are your friends.
Checklist and V speeds are your friends. That's right. So what happened when you get to that check ride for the CFI?
So funny enough, I feel like everybody who's been in aviation for a little bit of time has the kind of defining stories of a little thing in the moment, but kind of has a rapid ripple effect. So I was actually signed off for my CFI check ride, waiting on the DP, Rodney Rush, down in Southern Illinois. He actually was a just newly minted captain at American, so he was sitting reserve up in Chicago. So I got a call from him 2 days prior before my check ride saying, "Hey, I got assigned a last minute reserve trip, so we're not going to be able to do our check ride. We're going to have to wait at least a month, just in
Hmm.
terms of how booked up he was." So at the time, I was studying for my CFI check ride. It would happen to be on a Tuesday. And then from connections I made at flight school, I was offered an aerial survey job for a little mom and pop company in Iowa. So I was sitting on both a CFI check ride and a job offer. So when the CFI check ride fell through, it kind of came down to a crossroads of, well, is it worth it to sit around for a month and get the CFI check ride done? Or is it more valuable to start at the survey gig earlier and then start cranking up the hours to get to the airlines?
So on the first survey job, you were flying single engine?
Yep. So my first job was flying for a small mom and pop, doesn't even exist on Google, kind of word of mouth thing. So I was flying a Piper Arrow around the Midwest. I predominantly worked
Sweet.
from about North Dakota down to Texas, and then as far east as South Carolina. In a very old school, it was one of the 2 years that Piper made the Arrow with a 180 horsepower engine, which was severely underpowered, but a lot of fun to fly. It taught me a lot about commercial
That
flying,
would
and then
be
just
1967 and 1968, if I'm not mistaken.
correct a 1968 Piper Arrow with all the speed modifications to it from a prideful owner down in Texas.
How many different survey jobs have you had? That was your first one. Have you had?
Yeah.
I know you're in one now. Were there some in between?
So I've been very thankful so far. I've been doing survey for coming up on 2 years now. I've only had two survey companies that I've been employed with. So I worked for the first one from early June until about the September timeframe. And then I was really, really fortunate with my job searching and networking and all that. So I started with a larger kind of East Coast known aerial survey company in October of 2019, and then still moving and scooting right now.
So how many hours have you flown? Now you're in the twin engines now, right?
Correct. So I've been flying a Piper Aztec for just under 10 months now. So I have about 400 hours of multi-engine time, and then total time sitting right around the 1,500-hour mark. So doing pretty fun.
1,500, the magic number. And so what's next?
So right now have applications into all of the regionals, kind of doing the 2010 approach of the shotgun approach to every airline that's hiring, sending an application in, kind of shoot first, aim later. So kind of going it down from there. My kind of outlook, especially right now, it doesn't really make sense to pick an airline that works for you. And then if they end up not hiring, well, you're kind of up the creek without a paddle while you watch all your buddies go and get hired by another regional that, oh, I don't like that one because I don't want to have to move to New York City. It's like, well,
Right.
times are different.
Well, yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you is what would be your advice for pilots, and it doesn't matter how old they are. It's where you are in the season of your life. You could be a young guy like you that just said, hey, right out of high school, this is what I want to do. You could be a guy like me that waited till he was almost 40 to get started. But what would be some of the advice you would give to somebody that might want to go the survey route, that maybe doesn't want to be a CFI, or they've been a CFI, they're looking to do something different? How do you break into that?
It's kind of the beating a dead horse, but networking and holding yourself in a true professional manner, that is really what moves mountains in the non-CFI world. And the same holds true for charter companies, for getting those unicorn jobs where you're flying a Gulfstream at 22. It's not really about what you know, it's about who you know. And I stand by that fact. Anybody can fly a 172 or a Piper Aztec in a straight line, then turn it back around, and then do it again all day, every day. For
Yes.
me, I can confidently say that the only reason I got my job at my first survey job with my foot in the door was knowing a former classmate from SIU that was currently working for them. He literally actually hit me up on Snapchat and he said, "Hey, like, my boss was looking for another pilot. Can you start next month?" And it's like, "Oh, yeah, of course." And then my job with my current employer was from the same kind of situation where I saw somebody that I went to college with was posting like, "Oh, I'm in DC, I'm in Wichita, I'm in Dallas," and it's like, "What are you doing?" And then kind of hearing his situation with where the company was sending him, So I was able to kind of get an internal recommendation just from the people I knew, and not only the people I knew, but my standing with them as well. So I always kind of tell people that networking is kind of like a bank account, where if you want to be able to take something out of it, you have to be able to put in the work for it. For example, let's say I know another person from our airman training group, but he hasn't taken the time to kind of check in with me on a periodic basis, like, oh, like, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Versus Russ, who constantly kind of checks in with me. We've touched base every once in a while.
Yeah.
When shit hits the fan, and aerial survey jobs kind of start opening up, and me in my position being already at a employer that both of those kind of people want to work for, I'm presented with two people, and if they both kind of say at the same time, hey, like, I'm looking to kind of work there, anything you can do to help, I'm obviously going to be more inclined to help Russ out, the person that's been checking in more periodically. And I can confidently say too, like, being in a commercial operation for about 2 years now, I can tell within about the first 5 minutes of talking to somebody if they're just kind of trying to milk a job out of me at this point. So as
Right.
slick as you think you are, you're not.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It networking's huge, and that's one thing that I really enjoyed. So as an airman training group, we put the GroupMe app. We were all together on there,
Yeah.
and if I see it's stagnant, I'll just go out, hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Or just give an
Yeah.
update. And I think that networking really is huge. Well, that's some good advice. So it's really about keeping your foot in the door, knowing people, and just constantly networking with folks. And that's big advice right there. Very,
Exactly.
very good.
And it doesn't
Well,
have to be said, but social media, obviously keeping it clean and all that. I know the first thing I do when I'm looking at new resumes or anything like that when we're doing hiring is checking their Facebook. And if I see somebody that's like flying a plane without a shirt on or has an iPad, I've seen one person with an iPad and a movie going on in the windowsill as their Facebook profile picture. It's like, well, I don't even know where to start with this. Like, at least 3 different FAR violations right there. I think I just have way too much free time. That's the thing.
right. Stuck in hotel rooms at night, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Especially with my flying to Piper Aztec and all that, we need really good weather, and they put us in places that don't have really good weather. So I'd say 90% of the time I'm a professional hotel occupier.
We've had some horrible weather here in Maryland for the past week. It's just not been good. We've had a lot of clouds, a lot of rain, and well, probably not such an issue for you, but for teaching, it's been very, very windy. And when you're teaching private pilots, it gets a little hairy.
Oh, absolutely.
So, well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us, because I thought people might be interested in, hey, how do you get into survey? How did you get into survey? And what it's an interesting field. What are some of the downsides to it as far as a career or maybe an aviation stepping stone? What would be some of the negatives? The positives are obviously lots of time building.
Yeah.
What are some of the downsides to it?
I think if my girlfriend was here right now, she would kind of start with well, let me tell you. So I have not had a schedule for the past, honestly, since I started. Obviously, it's going to vary by the company that you work for, but my present employer, we sign a contract saying that we are going to be available 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. But obviously, you need rest. We can only fly during the day and all that. Well, for certain extenuating circumstances for night faring, but for the most part, you're kind of at their beck and call. If the weather's good, you're flying. Conversely, if the weather's bad, you're not flying. However, as nice as that sounds to the, I guess, layman, where it's like, oh, well, like, I don't really have to fly in bad conditions. I always kind of use the same example of looking at a schedule like that. Okay, cool. Your tooth hurts and you need to schedule a dentist appointment. Like, when are you going to schedule it for? And they're like, well, Wednesday. Well, how do you know that Wednesday is not going to be a good weather day? Oh,
Right.
well, exactly. And the same thing too, in terms of projects and all that, we get based on some pretty big projects, but we also get some small projects too, where they're kind of the logistics side of the company is kind of sending us here, there, and everywhere. So I've had a few times where I was like, oh, well, I can definitely know I'm going to be here for a week, and then I order something on Amazon that I need like toothpaste, or like I'll order new contacts or something like that. And then it all never fails. Like the day after I place the order, I get new orders like, oh, like we actually need you in Kansas now, or we actually need you in Georgia now. And nothing against that. It just makes it very frustrating to kind of pinpoint honestly anything. So my relationships, both with family and significant others and all that, it takes a little bit of time to indoctrinate them, especially for people that aren't in the aviation world, that really don't know what it is to pay your dues, or to have a weather variable schedule and all that. So my kind of policy that has given me a lot less stress is I usually operate on about a 24-hour notice. Perfect example, actually, I just drove back from Rochester today, but it was a Monday and I was looking at weather for the upcoming week. So texted the girlfriend Monday at 10 o'clock at night saying, hey, I can drive up tomorrow morning. And that's about as far as a heads up I can give. And obviously kind of take what you can get with it. But other than that, it's been smooth sailing so far. I really wouldn't change anything else about it. If you're adventurous and you kind of enjoyed the fast pace of what was the old Navy slogan, a different port every day or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's all about a give and take kind of thing. Obviously, no job is perfect. So for all of the benefits that we receive with aerial survey, just in terms of what we actually do, how unique and interesting and the experiences the job gives us, I'd say it's a fairly even trade-off.
Well, there you go. Well, on that note, I appreciate your time. I'm really, really glad that you had the time this evening to connect and come out and hop on Zoom and do this interview. And what's next for Sean before we sign off here?
Oh, a hot shower and eating some dinner. That's my idea of a good time.
And then on to the airlines, right? So
oh yeah, big picture, yeah, off to the airlines.
But I like.
I told you the 24-hour thing. It holds true not only in flying but life as well.
It's a hot shower and dinner, and maybe a movie and some bed. And Russ, I'll hear you on the radio tomorrow when I'm flying over near Martin State.
Exactly. It's the little things in life.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming by, Sean. I really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to continuing our relationship on. Well, now we've got cell phone numbers, and we could. Hey, folks, thanks for stopping by today. Hope you got great value out of Sean's interview. Being a survey pilot is just one of many career options that we as pilots have to look forward to. Listen, My CFI Academy is going to be doing the Pilot Career Series on YouTube. It's going to be brand new. We're going to interview lots of different pilots from different walks of life, different types of aviation careers. It's guaranteed to be very interesting and hopefully a lot of fun. We really appreciate you stopping by. If you did get value from today's video, please smash the like button and also subscribe for future notifications on upcoming videos. Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. I'm Russ Clark. We'll see you at the next video. Thanks.